I don't know. I just don't know. All right, good morning, everybody. Whatever that means, good morning. So start to find your seat and whatever that seat looks like. So, we can jokingly say, good morning. What does that mean? Who knows? And it is when we start to get out of that framework of thinking that this morning has to be good, or it has to be bad, or it has to be something that we can categorize. And instead we come onto our mat with the purpose of just being able to sit with what is, right? So find your seat, whether it is a comfortable one or not, doesn't matter. But you find the place where you can sit. That's the whole point of the practice, right? Is to find the way that you can sit with what's in your life. So that has nothing to do with whether your legs are cross-legged or in any other position. It has nothing to do with whether your mind is settled or not. But you find the place in you that is not looking for those definitions and instead is just in that state of awareness. So that's what we're practicing. Start to drop into a state of awareness where you can feel what's there, but where you're not running to this reaction, that reaction, any reaction. So that means you let your breath get a little easier. Don't sit up so tall that you think that you're actually going to grow another inch. You won't. But let yourself feel your breath getting really big. We say often that the body is a container for the breath, but to say that means that somehow your breath is going to stop at the edge of this body and this mind, and it won't. Right? The breath is part of that connection that we have to what is universal, to what is so much bigger than what we can hold. And if we reach for that experience as we're breathing, then that's what our mind starts to gravitate to, is that it doesn't have to hold this. So as you're breathing, you let your breath get even bigger. So there's that touch of the inhale that you feel it in yourself, and then there's the exhale where you feel it ebbing away. The breath is not limited by you. Nothing is limited by you. Instead, you let yourself drop into that expansiveness. And this is awareness, that I'm not thinking about what should be or what shouldn't be, what I like or what I don't like, but I'm feeling that there's bigness. And I'm part of that bigness, even if I feel small. I'm part of that bigness. I don't have to try to be part of it, I just am. So you breathe in and you breathe out. And that's how we get to that state that we say is the I am, is we just stop thinking about all the other stuff and we let ourselves feel I am part of this bigness, whether I like it or not. I am. Keep dropping yourself into the breath and then let the breath get as big and as wide as it can go. And if it helps you to feel like you are pouring the contents of your mind into that breath, do it. And awareness is what we practice to awaken. Nothing else. Another couple of breaths. Keep dropping whatever you are trying to hold, whatever you're insisting on holding. And at the end of the next exhale, let the hands come together in front of the heart, palm to palm. We'll open with the sound of Om. Deep breath in. Let the eyes float open. Nice, you guys. So bring the hands to the front of the knees or the thighs, and then just start to circle your torso, please. So whatever your seat is, just move your torso. Good. Awareness is a tricky thing because as soon as you're looking for it or you're trying to get to it, and as long as we think it's a goal, is we're like, all right, well, I'm defining what awareness is, and it means that it is not this, it is not that, it is not that. And this is a yogic practice, right, where we try to find that state of universal connection by saying, well, it's not this and it's not that, it's not this and it's not that, it's not this and it's not that. So what's left over, right? Whatever is left is what we started with, and that's what we've always been, right? So this is what we do with our mind, is it's not this, it's not that. There's somewhere in there, in between all of those things, that is awareness. So just be conscious that as you are looking for or contemplating that state, is you're going to do a lot of like, oh, maybe it's this. It isn't. Whatever it is that you're grabbing onto and labeling, no, it's not that. It's not this, it's not that. Somewhere in between. Move your torso the other way, please. Yeah, so just switch your direction, turn the other direction. Good. Keep your seat nice and steady. Nice, you guys. And the turning and the moving and the breathing is to allow all of those contents of the mind, or for the mind to gravitate in this direction where it doesn't have to keep holding. It doesn't have to keep holding a thought, doesn't have to keep holding a memory, doesn't have to keep holding an emotion. Right? And part of it is that when those things do bubble up, is you let them bubble up, but you don't hold them. Right? This is the prelude to meditation, right? As you allow things to just flow through the mind instead of always grabbing onto them and trying to like hang them on the wall. Bring yourself back to stillness, please. Stretch the arms up alongside your ears, interlace your fingers, press your heels of your hands up to the sky. So pull up through the sideways. Good. Then lean to your right, please. Side body stretch, keeping the hands in this position. So keep pushing out through the hands. That's important, right? That you're pushing out through the arms, that you're reaching out through the ribs. And then drop that left butt cheek down to the floor. Good. And then let your right hand touch down to the floor, please. Left arm stays over the ear. Walk your right hand further away from your hip. Bend the elbow, maybe dropping the forearm down to the floor. If it doesn't touch the floor, no problem. Just let the elbow bend. Keep reaching and keep dropping down through that left butt cheek. There you go. Stay heavy in the pelvis, heavy in the legs. Nice. Come all the way back up to center, please. Arms to the sky. Interlace your fingers, press heels of the hands all the way up. Feel like you are squeezing your ears. So those upper arms are really hugging in, and then you're pushing up through the heels of the hands. Good. Lean to your left. All of that same intensity, right? All of that same engagement. Keep doing it. Good. And then press that right sit bone down to the floor. Don't lose that. Good. Left hand touches down, please. Right arm stays over the ear. Walk your left hand further away from your hip, and then bend the elbow. Again, the elbow might touch the floor. It might not. Doesn't make any difference, but give yourself enough space that it might touch the floor. Good. And then keep dropping that right sit bone down. So that's your real stretch there. Is it's not what you're doing with the arm. It's what you're doing with that butt cheek. Good. Bring yourself all the way back up to center, please. Nice. Release the hands forward. Good. Just forward fold straight over the legs, whatever position you're in. Cross-legged is great. Good. Flex your feet maybe if your knees feel like they need a little bit of a hug. Good. And press your seat down and back. So again, as you're leaning forward, that's not the only direction that stretch is happening. You're also pressing down through your sit bones. Good. And then walk your hands back in, please. Come forward to hands and knees. Nice. And then tuck your toes, lift your hips, downward facing dog. So find your dog and then bend your knees in your dog. Good. So find dog and then bend your knees in dog. Nice. You're drawing the hips back in space. Beautiful. Keep the knees bent. Keep dropping the knees a little bit lower. Good. As the knees drop a little lower, you've got to lift your armpits up. Again, you're just staying here, right? Don't wait for there to be another complicated instruction. Just keep your knees bent. I know it's a lot of work. Keep your knees bent, keep your butt back. Yep, imagine that this was the position of dog. You're like, oh, I'd never do it. This was it. Good. Take one more breath. Drop a little lower into your knees, into your pelvis. Drop. Good. And then start to stretch the legs towards straight, pulling the thighs back, hips higher, heels soften to the floor, towards the floor. They don't have to touch. Good. And then walk your feet forward to your hands, please. Standing forward fold. Uttanasana. Good. Feet underneath your hips. Bend your knees, please. Take your hands to the backs of your calves. So as your knees bend, your hands go to the back of your shins to kind of grip that muscle and pull up. Good. And then you're letting the weight of your shins move forward. Good. And then press into your heels. So again, that's what starts to create this stretch as your weight moves forward, but you press down through the heels. And then scoop into your low belly, press your hips up towards the sky. Feel like you're still pulling those calf muscles in and up onto your bone. So it's like it's a hug. So if you can muscularly engage that too, do that, because obviously your hands cannot actually engage your calf muscles. You got to do it from inside. So feel that squeeze of your calf muscles. Keep lifting the hips, dropping the head. Good. Last breath there, full breath in. Excellent. And then bend your knees, please, keeping this feeling of the lifting of your calf muscles. Take the arms up alongside your ears for chair. Good. Yeah, and then contemplate if you like this position better than you liked bent knees and down dog. Take your hands to the tops of your thighs, please, cat, cow, and chair. Good. As always, what we're up to in asana practice is we turn the body in so many different directions, but we're really doing the same thing over and over and over again. As we're looking to release into those places that are always chronically holding. That's what it means to have a tight muscle. That's what it means to have a tight joint. That's what it means to have a tight whatever that causes our discomfort, is that we hold. So our whole practice is to free up that experience where what we feel again is space. We're not caught up in this holding. We're not caught up in the discomfort around the holding. And as we let that go, what do we slide into? Well, where are you when you're not complaining about anything? Like, I don't know. Awareness, right? When you're not unhappy, where are you? Maybe you don't always say that you're happy, but if you're not unhappy, where are you? Call that awareness. Good. Come back to stillness, please. Come all the way up to stand. Good. Stretching the arms up alongside the ears. Good. Right hand holds left wrist and pull to your right, please. Side stretch. Good. This is really the practice that yoga was designed to be, or designed to do, is that all of the physical stuff is meant to help you reorient your experience into that spaciousness. Good. Stay leaning to your right, please, but now, and continue to hold the wrist, but now take your direction towards that upper right hand corner of your mat. So turn your torso on the diagonal. So it's like you're taking your hands towards that upper right hand corner of your mat. Good. So I want you to round into your back as you do that. So we say it's almost like you're going to dive into that top corner of your mat. There you go. Good. So you have that roundness in the back of your ribs. Now start to turn your left rib cage open a little bit more. Draw those arms back in space, open again to the side, and draw the top of that right hip back in space as well, so that you're not completely turning through your pelvis. Good. Come all the way back up to center, please. Nice job. Release the hands, bend your knees, come back into chair. So arms can come to heart center, or hands to heart center in chair. Good. Prayer twist, right elbow to the outside of the left knee. And again, if hooking the elbow at this point in the morning does not feel like it works, use the hand instead. So hand at the knee, left hand at your lower back. Good. Have a little lifting of the low belly away from your thighs. Nice. Come back to center, please. Don't change the chair. Twist the other way. Left elbow to the outside of the right knee. Good. Keep pressing into your heels here. So if the knees want to just slide forward, move your knees slightly back, move your hips slightly back. That's it. That's really chair, right? Good. Come back to center, please. Come all the way up to stand, stretching the arms up to the sky. Good. Did you take full breaths there? No, you didn't. So remember it for the second time, right? Good. Left hand holds right wrist and pull to your left. Yep. There you go. Nice, you guys. So you're pressing into that right heel, remembering that every position is not just the direction that your mind says that you're going, but it's the other end of that direction as well. So if you're leaning to the left, you're pressing down through your right heel. Good. And then keep that hold on the wrist. Start to turn your shoulders towards that upper left-hand corner of your mat. Again, like you're diving into that corner. So you're rounding into your upper back, into your rib cage. Good. So there should be a little curling that happens there. Nice. Don't let your knees lock here. Good. And then start to turn that right rib cage open to the side again, looking up underneath that right armpit. Good. Draw the top of your left hip back in space, because again, that's what's going to help continue to open the side body that you just reoriented. Excellent. Come all the way back up to center, please. Release the wrist, bend both knees, drop back into chair. Good. Again, letting the weight of your hips move back. So drop your torso parallel to the floor here so that you can move your butt further back in space. Really push your butt back, butt back, butt back, butt back. Good. Then you can find your heels a little bit better, right? Now maintain that. Draw that belly away from your thighs. Draw your armpits towards the center of your back and start to lift your chest higher, only as far as you can go without letting your knees slide forward. I know. Good. I want you to really work from your lower spine. So your belly's got to lift and your hips have to drop if you want your chest to come up. I know. Release the hands to the floor, straighten the legs and bow. Good, you guys. Step your right leg back behind you just enough so that both feet can come flat to the floor. Parsvottanasana. Use blocks underneath the hands if you need. Give your quads a break. Good. Even here, though, I want you to feel that there's a softness behind that front knee especially. So you're widening the thighs, but your shins are always trying to move forward. So as much as we think that if I really push back through that back heel, that I'm going to get a really great stretch on my calf, well, you're not really going to if your knee is just locking, right? So the shin has to feel like it's pulling forward, almost like you're softening the front edge of that back ankle. Good. And then it's the top of the thigh that moves back, not your calf. Good. So your hips have to go higher towards the ceiling. Yeah. Then you can move those thighs wider away from each other and squeeze your feet towards each other. Nice. Good, you guys. Take one more breath. Beautiful. And then walk your hands towards the baby toe edge of that foot, please. So you're walking your hands towards the outer edge of that foot. If you need a block, you can continue to use the block. Good. And we're not coming into a twist, but you're just walking to your left so that you can feel a little bit more stretch on that side waist again. And again, as you're walking to the left, pull the top of that right hip back towards the right. Yep. And now you're like, oh, but I can't go as far. I know, because you want to have that feeling of you're actually having to stretch through your side body, not just from the movement of your torso, but from the anchoring of your hips, right? The anchoring is what matters just as much as the movement. Walk yourself back to center. Good. Bend that right knee, your left knee. Step yourself back to downward facing dog. Nice. Slide forward to plank pose. Bring the armpits forward over your wrist. Lower down slow, coming through knees first if you need, all the way down to the belly. Good. Rise up, cobra. Lift head, neck, and chest, pressing down through the tops of the feet. Good. Down through the tops of the shins. Excellent. And then exhale back down to your belly, please. Yep, back to your belly. And then just pause for another moment, right? So on your belly, maybe you can press your feet down into the floor more concretely, or you can feel this experience of trying to draw your shins and your thighs forward and up into your pelvis, right? So pressing the feet down sometimes causes us to hyperextend the knees, right? So you do want to have connection to the feet, but more importantly, you want to feel like you are drawing your calf muscles forward, you're drawing the tops of your thighs forward. And now press into your hands, drag backwards on your hands as your thighs drag forward, and lift your chest forward and up as though your collarbones are going to come beyond the top of your mat. Again, you're not limited by this little rectangle that you've drawn on the ground. Good. The pose is not defined by what it looks like. It's defined by what is the movement of energy in your body, what is the movement of breath in your soul, or the breath as it moves through your body and gives you a sense of your soul. You're like, it's just cobra pose, lady. True, it is just cobra pose. Downward facing dog if you're not there. There you go. Good. Step the right foot forward between the hands, please. Left foot comes forward just a little bit. Take both legs to straight. So you're in Parsvottanasana. Second side. Again, using blocks underneath the hands if you need. Good. And you're letting that left hip, your back hip, spin forward a little bit more. And you're lifting your right low belly a little wider and higher to the right. And feel your hips pulling up and back in space, but soften behind your knees. So feel like you're trying to pull your shins, your calves forward. And it's going to be for both legs, right? So it's not just the front leg or the back leg, it's both. And then find that extension of the legs by pressing into your feet from the belly. Lift the hips up. You got it. So your legs get longer because you are extending your spine. Foreign concept. Nice job, you guys. Good Susan. Good Diane. Nice Debbie. Good Marlene. Good. Continue to find yourself in those little spaces that are between the inhale and the exhale. And where the fact that you are staying in one position, you no longer experience it as holding. I have to hold myself here because if I let go, I'm going to fall apart or I'm going to melt or I'm going to disintegrate or whatever. But that you're simply staying, right? The energy of just staying. It's a little different than I'm stuck here. Good. Continue to find something valuable in this sensation. Start to walk yourself towards that baby toe edge of your front foot, please. And I really shouldn't say that, right? That with awareness is you're not trying to find value in anything, as you're simply just experiencing. So don't try to get into that categorizing of your mind again. If I just took you there, sorry, come back out. Good. And then walk yourself back to center, please. Nice. Bend that right knee, please. Step yourself back, downward facing dog. Good. Then slide forward to plank pose again. Armpits over your wrists. Good. Lower down slow, coming through knees first if you need. Beautiful. Belly to the floor. Take your arms reaching back towards your feet. Point the toes. Good. Pressing again forward and up with those thigh bones or with your pelvic bones, pushing forward and up. Float the legs up off the floor, feet up off the floor. Good. And then lift head, neck, and chest as well. So coming into locust pose, float the hands up, palm space down. Good. Locust pose, legs up, chest up. Beautiful. And even here, I want you to have that feeling that you are trying to pull the thigh bones up and in. So even though the legs are extended, you're pulling up and in. So there's a little lift through the front of your low belly and a little lift from your lower rib cage. Try and pull your low ribs away from the floor. You're like, oh, but I was trying to push them into the floor to get a bigger back bend. One more breath. Beautiful. And then release forehead to the floor. Plant your hands for Cobra, Bhujangasana. Bend the elbows. And then remember, you are still drawing forward and up through the tops of the thighs. Drag back on the hands. Rise up, Cobra, pulling yourself between the hands. So don't push the floor away, but drag yourself along the floor. And then again, from your lower rib cage and the top of your pelvic bones, peel yourself off of the floor. Good. So the arms will work, but they're not the ones that initiate, right? Good. Nice. And then release, please. Pressing back, downward facing dog. Nice, Anju. Good, Joy. Good, you guys. Take the right leg up and back behind you, please. Down dog split. Good. Bend the knee. Kick your heel in towards your butt. Stack the right hip on top of the left. And watch that that left knee is not locking, right? So again, pull that shin forward so the knee gets softer and the top of the thigh has to pull up and back. Good. Nice, you guys. One more breath. Don't let your right heel fall open. Squeeze that heel in. Good. Point that right knee down towards the floor, please, so we can level the pelvis. And then step the right foot between the hands. Lunge. Good. Inhale, both arms to the sky, high lunge. Yeah, there you go. Nice, Lana. Bend your back knee a lot, please. So it's almost as bent as the front knee, and pull that thigh forward as you move your pelvis back. So again, you're trying to make almost 90 degrees on both legs. Good. So that means your pelvis really has to move back. You got to lift your hip points up. Good. Find your breath, that you are dropping your pelvis straight down here and squeezing the feet towards each other. Stability. Excellent. Really good, Melody. Nice, Harriet. Good. Straight in the back thigh. Please bring your hands together at the heart center. Prayer twist. Left elbow comes to the outside of the right knee. Good. And your back thigh goes higher as your torso comes forward. Nice. And then draw the rib cage again in, like you're hugging from the front of the body to the back. Draw your armpits together like you're drawing everything in towards that center point of the heart. And then press the hands together and lift that right shoulder higher, right upper chest higher. Good. Nice, Ralph. Nice, Juliet. Good, Jen. Really good, you guys. Come back to center, arms to the sky, high lunge. Don't fall out of your pose. Deep breath in, complete your pose. And then exhale, hands to the floor. If you fell out of your pose, don't worry. Good. Both hands inside the front foot. Walk to your left. Come to the center of your mat. Good. Walk to your left. Wide legs, please. Center of your mat. Turn your toes. Good. And let yourself drop. So the legs are holding you. Hips are nice and high. Feet gently squeezing towards each other so you don't lose that sense of security. But then relax through your spine and watch. If you are someone who loves to hyperextend your knees, you love to have a super beyond straight knee, soften that. Good. As soon as we soften a joint like that, as it actually brings the stretch back into the muscles that benefit from it. So it brings it back into a stretch into the calves or into your hamstrings or into your back. When we're locked, whether that is through a joint or through our own mental or emotional reality, is that things no longer move. Things no longer actually create benefit. They simply reinforce the feeling of being locked. So it's an awkward place to be, having that slightly bent knee if you're not used to it. It's an awkward place to be saying, but now I feel things that I didn't feel before, and I'm thinking about whether I like them or I don't like them. So stop thinking. Let yourself slide into that place where you're simply aware that there is more than what the locked feeling was. I've been using the sort of silly mantra of when you find yourself reacting very strongly to whatever's going on, just have the thought, don't panic. Just a moment. And the energy that you have is one that you can just stay. You're not trapped, but you're deciding to just stay. Good. Nice, you guys. Bring your hands to your hips, please. Come all the way up to stand. Nice. Just turn your heels in, turn your toes out 45 degrees. Again, don't think about it too much. Bend your knees wide, come into a high squat. Your knees should be pretty close to over top of your ankles. And again, if you're like, this is wider than I usually have my feet, I don't feel bad for you. Your feet should be this wide, right? If you don't give enough space between your feet, is you can't get to that parallel position. You can't really let the pelvis drop. So let yourself drop in. Squeeze the feet towards each other. Stretch your arms out wide, letter T. Right arm over top of left. Wrap the arms in eagle. Distract yourself with that. Good. Press into your heels, please. Even better if you can lift and spread your toes. Excellent. Try to keep your shoulders on top of your hips. I know you all just arched your backs to try and make that happen. So instead, draw your rib cage in, tuck your tail just a tiny bit so your hip points lift. Good. Come all the way out. Please straighten the legs, stretch your arms out wide. Good. Little breather. Good. And then bend your knees again, drop back into that high squat. Again, with that feeling of letting the thighs really go wide so the pelvis can drop straight down. Good. Notice at what point it starts to tilt forward and really focus on trying to lift your hip points up so that you get your lower back to get a little bit more open here, right? So this is not a position just to get stuck in. Left arm over top of right, please, or whatever the opposite side arm is for you. Eagle arms. Keep your ribs softening in. If you are arching your lower back, then your pelvis. Keep dropping your tail. Keep your shoulders up. Breathe. Awareness. This is not the only thing occurring in this moment. Good. Come all the way back out. Please stretch the arms out wide. Nice job. Good. Turn your toes forward, parallel again. Take your hands back behind you. Interlace your fingers. Good. So still wide legs, feet facing straight ahead. Back to Prasarita Padottanasana. So your feet should be facing same direction, short edges of your mat. Good. Yep. Bow forward. Take the arms up and over any amount. Good. So Joy, you're just facing the long edge of your mat. So you're still in wide legs. Same thing on you. Just face the wide edge of your mat. Nice, Diane. Good, Laura. Excellent, Sarah and Kara, I believe it was. Nice job. Good. Release the hands down to the floor, please. Good. Walk your hands straight ahead so you're in a wide-legged downward facing dog. Beautiful. And you want that to be where you can let your weight fall forward into your hands for a second. So let your weight fall forward into your hands if you haven't let that happen. So walk yourself out far enough, let your weight fall into your hands. So you're leaning everything into your hands. Good. Make sure your hands are as wide as your shoulders. There you go. Nice, Ravi. Good. And now that you've fallen into your hands here, push into your hands like you're pushing the floor away, and have that pushing translate all the way up into your thigh creases, pulling away from your wrists. That will bring weight back into your heels without you having to push backwards into your heels. If that didn't make any sense, just enjoy your breath. Good. Walk your hands back in, please. Come back towards the top of your mat. Right toes turn forward. Step back, downward facing dog. Good. There is a point where if you are focusing a lot on, the stuff that I'm saying, and you might not be letting yourself really feel what's going on, is ignore what I'm saying. Feel what's going on. Come forward to plank pose, upward push-up. Good. Lower down slow, coming through knees first if you need. Your choice of back bend, either locust pose with the legs and the torso lifting, or cobra, bhujangasana. Good. Remembering that either way is that you are drawing the spine as long as it can go. So reach for your back bend, your choice. Good. Nice, Ralph. Good, Mark. Nice, Perry. Nice, Lauren. And then come all the way back, downward facing dog. Nice, Mia. Good. Nice, you guys. Take the left leg up and back behind you, down dog split. Bend the knee, kick your heel in towards your butt, stack the left hip on top of the right. Good. Watch that right heel is not falling outwards. So your supporting leg, you're keeping it rotated in that neutral alignment with your pelvis. So the hips are opening, but they have to open up and around that thigh. Good. Yeah, squeeze that heel in, please. So you have real engagement through that upper leg. Good. And then point the knee down towards the floor, please. Hips stay just as high. Step that left foot between the hands. Lunge. Good. Inhale, both arms up. High lunge. Excellent. And then bend your back knee a lot. So both knees are bent almost the same amount. Pull that right thigh forward. As that thigh pulls forward, your pelvic bones lift up off of your front thigh and you're moving your ribs, your belly back in space. So again, it's like you're trying to drop through your tail, but you're keeping that long line of your side waist. Good. Stretch up through the arms a little bit more. That's it. Yeah. If your legs are getting tired, pull up through your arms, pull up through your belly. Yeah. One more breath. Squeeze the knees, squeeze the feet. Good. And then take that back thigh a little bit more towards straight. Take the hands together in front of the heart. Prayer twist, right elbow to the outside of the left knee. You got it. The knee draws wide into the elbow. So Diane, just watch that knee doesn't fall in. Keep pushing it wide. Nice, Alana. Good. Heidi. Nice, Harriet. Good, Melody. Excellent, you guys. Keep that back thigh kicking higher. So Lena, back thigh up just a little more. There you go. Good, Lauren. Beautiful. Come back to center, arms to the sky. Inhale. Good. Even if you fell out of your pose, don't collapse out of your pose. Nice, Debbie. Good, Sue. And then release the hands down to the floor. Beautiful. Step back, downward facing dog. Oh my gosh. Good. Deep breath in, please. And then drop the knees to the floor, child's pose. Spread your toes, please. As you spread your toes, you again leave a little bit more opportunity for that awakeness through the legs to allow energy to flow, to allow blood to flow, to allow relief to joints and muscles that have maybe been held in one position for a long time. And you're still breathing in and breathing out. And whatever your mind keeps gripping onto, is gently remind it to look for what is beyond, what is around that. There's the constant instruction, let go, let go, let go. Your mind says, what are you talking about? Let go. Let go of what? And then as soon as you name the thing, it's like, oh, focus on that thing and how we can't let go. Got it. So instead, don't panic. Right? Watch your reaction. And then also watch what else is around that reaction. Go to the next breath. And this is how we start to come out of that state of always holding. We hold our experience as though it is static. It never is. Take one more breath. And then walk yourself back up onto hands and knees, please, and come back to downward facing dog. Good. Right leg comes up and back behind you, down dog split. Extend out through that thigh, out through that heel. Good. And bring the knee forward in wide pigeon pose. So right knee towards the right wrist. Good. Placing the shin at whatever angle makes the most sense. Keeping your hip points facing straight ahead. Good. So you're turning that left hip forward even a little bit more than you think is necessary so that you can draw your right low belly and thigh a little wider, right hip point wider. Good. And then once you've set yourself, go ahead and walk yourself forward onto your forearms or onto whatever your resting position is. But for a moment, tuck your back toes, lift your back knee. Yep. So again, you have the sensation at the top of that left thigh is pulling forward and into your hip socket. So one more time, draw that right hip crease back and wide as your left hip spins forward, your left thigh pulls forward. Then drop the knee back to the floor. Good. Because we get it into our heads, right? To get our pelvis down to the floor, that we have to push back through that leg. And then when we do, we set our pelvis out of alignment, and then we wonder why we feel overstretched and uncomfortable. Nice, you guys. Keep pressing through that front shin. And if you are doing pigeon on your back, fantastic. Keep your ankle against your thigh, really awake. It is one of my favorite images. Can't remember if it's one of the stories in the Yoga Sutras or it's just one of those stories that you hear over and over. Swami Satchidananda with some of his devotees, his disciples, his students, out on a walk one day, and they're watching a river or they're watching a stream, and there's a little leaf, right, that gets being pulled down the current and gets caught on some rocks that are underneath the water, and it's just sort of swirling in this pattern because it's caught on that, the eddies around the rock. So it's just going in that pattern over and over and over again. And then finally, whatever shifts and the leaf gets out of that cycle and continues down the stream, and Swami Satchidananda goes, that says that right there is enlightenment, right? The moment where you get out of the current of your mind, the moment where you are out of that momentum of your reactions, and there's a feeling of space, feeling of freedom, feeling of flow. That's why we do asana. Create that feeling of flow in your body so that your mind gravitates to that. It's everyday experience. It's not foreign. And then we do pranayama, we do breath work and meditation to expand our ability to feel and perceive how big things are. So that's way less work than whatever you thought you were doing, right? Or maybe it's more work than what you thought you were doing, who knows? The beauty is that none of it is up to. So even if you have no idea what any of that means, you just breathe deeply, it'll happen. Let yourself feel space, it'll happen. Walk your hands back up underneath your shoulders, please. Good. Tuck those back toes again, lift your back knee. Good. Pressing into your hands, hover that right foot up off the floor. So lift your butt and then squeeze that right knee up in towards your chest. Good. And then step that foot right between your hands. So it's a big step forward, right foot forward. Excellent. And then drop that back knee, Anjaneyasana. Inhale, both arms up to the sky. Use a blanket underneath that back knee if you need. Guess what? Hands to heart center. Prayer twist. Left elbow to the outside of the right knee. Press your knee a little wider. Good. Feel your front heel and your back knee squeezing towards each other. So there should be this sensation of the thighs pulling into the hip socket. So instead of that pushing, there should be a feeling of maybe a little bit of release. Good. Come back to center, arms up to the sky. Inhale. Again, don't collapse out of your pose. Even if you fall out of it, don't collapse. Nice. And then release the hands to the floor inside the front foot. Walk to the upper left-hand corner of your mat. Drop down to your elbows if you can, or stay on blocks or fingertips. And keep that feeling of drawing the thigh bones into the center of the pelvis, because if you are very flexible in this part of your body, or even if you aren't, doing a lot of heavy hip flexor work can start to feel like too much. So you have to hug in. Nice, you guys. Good. Virginia, just watch that knee doesn't fall in. Push it just a little bit wide. Yes, you want to move it away from your belly. There you go. Good. It's interesting, right? If you don't think about trying to get away from something, what does it take for you to be able to just stay? It's usually the thought that, oh, I have to put up with this for a certain amount of time. Sometimes that relaxes us because we're like, there's an end. And sometimes it makes us crazy because we hold ourselves tense until we hear that bell or we hear our yoga teacher say, okay, come out. So what happens when you let yourself slide into a place where you're not trying to get away? You can always change a pose. Again, you don't need me to tell you. But don't try to get away just because something feels like a big feeling. Take one more breath. Good, and then walk yourself all the way back up, please. Nice, tuck your back toes, lift your back knee. And step your left foot forward just a little bit. Take both legs to straight for a moment. Parsvottanasana, it'll feel good. It'll feel like relief. Good, squeeze those feet towards each other, round into your lower back, please. So hands touching whatever they're touching, but round into your lower back. And again, pull those thighs up and in, squeeze. Nice. Good, and then release, please. Stepping back to downward facing dog. Take a vinyasa if you'd like, or hang out in dog, or take a child's pose. If you're doing the vinyasa, you're sliding forward to plank, lowering down to your belly, rising up cobra, or you could do locust. But again, remembering long stretch of your spine. Keep your legs engaged, either one. Really nice, Mia. Nice, Anju. Good, Sarah. And then come back downward facing dog. Good. Left leg comes up and back, down dog split. Good, reaching out through that heel. So again, don't just do it as a, I don't know why I'm doing this. Pull back through your heel, pull back through your pelvis. There you go. And then bring that knee forward and wide, find pigeon. Left knee towards your left wrist, again, placing the shin. Good. And turning that outer right hip forward even more so that that top of your left belly and thigh can move away from each other. So your left hip point moves a little wider to the left. Good. Then once you've settled yourself, walk yourself forward onto your forearms. And then pause again, tuck your back toes, lift your back knee, reset your pelvis. So pull that right thigh forward and in as you draw the top of your left thigh bone and your left hip point wider to the left. So it's going to feel like you're almost rotating that left butt cheek back and in again. Good. And then once you've resettled, drop that right knee back to the floor. Nice. Stay present. I was going to joke and say, go wherever you go in pigeon, but don't go anywhere. Just stay. Just let your mind stay. Don't go into your grocery list. Don't go into what you're having for lunch. Don't go into the memory of, high school, whatever. Don't start singing your favorite song, unless it's Hare Krishna, and then sing that all day long. Our practice is to stay. It means to be able to differentiate that feeling of I'm holding, stuck, and I'm just not trying to get away. Because it is what we say, right? That you can run and run and run through the entire world, but you're taking your suffering, your challenges with you, right? Because they exist in you. It's your relationship to the world, not the world itself. So there is nowhere to go. It's a reminder in the practice. There is nowhere to go. But you can let your mind reorient itself to being spacious. And as we do that, the grip that we have on this emotion, this reaction, this moment, this, that, whatever it is, loses some of its intensity, dissipates into that bigness. And we call that letting go. But good luck trying to tell yourself to do it on purpose. Sometimes it works, and sometimes it just reinforces the gripping. So instead, you find space. Instead, you go watch water run, or you stare at the sky, or you watch your breath endlessly. And eventually that spaciousness, the mind gets used to it and it starts to gravitate there instead of to gripping. So notice where your mind escapes to in pigeon. Notice what it grips onto. And if it's complaining about whatever it's complaining about, can you perceive the moment before it started complaining? Where was your mind? Where were you before you were unhappy? Where were you before the reaction? Because that's still where you are. The reaction is just happening on top of that. You know, the more you fidget, the longer I have you hold here, right? That I'm watching your fidgeting. I'm just kidding. Sort of kidding. Take one more breath. Good. Walk yourself back up onto your hands, please. And then tuck your back toes again, lift that back knee, feeling the thigh pulling in and up, press into your hands, hover that left foot up off the floor. So squeeze that knee in towards your chest, keep your shoulders forward. Good, so a little belly work. Good, and then step that left foot between the hands. I know it's a big hip flexor move. Good, you got it. Even if it took you 16 steps. Excellent, drop the back knee, please. Use a blanket if you need. Anjaneyasana, take the arms to the sky. Nice, Susan. Good, and then bring the hands to heart center, please. Prayer twist, right elbow to the outside of the left knee. Good, Kara. Nice, Melody. Good, Marlene. Good, Anju. Good, Mia, maybe drop your chin just a tiny bit so you get a little bit more length on your throat. There you go. Good. Draw those armpits towards each other so there's that hug towards the middle of your back. Good. Joy. Maybe take that left elbow a little closer to your side ribs so you get more openness through your chest and less of that. Yeah. Good, you guys. And then slowly come back out, arms to the sky. Inhale. You got it. Keep squeezing the front heel and the back knee towards each other so you almost pull up away from the floor. Yes. Good, Juliet. And then release the hands down to the floor. Foot, walk to the upper right hand corner of your mat, drop down to your forearms or onto blocks. Again, watching where your mind wants to escape to. Breath getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Right? Awareness has nothing to do with categories. It has nothing to do with judgment. It has nothing to do with comfort or discomfort, like or dislike. So the mind is a little confused about that. It says, you want me to what? I just want you to fill in as much space as you can find. Experience as much space as there is. All of the likes, all of the dislikes, all of that happens within awareness. But none of it is awareness. Awareness is that state in between reaction. Keep your butt lifted just a little bit here, you guys. If you keep dropping through that back thigh, again, it's going to feel like it's too much. But now it's harder to hold. It's harder to stay. I know. Your breath get longer. You're not here forever, so don't panic. You're still a good person if your pelvis doesn't love this position. You're still a good person if you come out before I say to. You haven't lost anything. Good. Walk yourself back in, please. Nice job. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, step your right foot forward just a little bit. Parsvottanasana. Take both legs to straight. You can use blocks underneath the hands if you need. And then really focus on, once you've set your feet, round into your lower back. So again, you get this sensation of pulling your thigh bones up and into the pelvis. So it's like you're squeezing everything together. Good. Nice, you guys. And then bend that left knee, please. Step your right foot forward, top of your mat. Good. Keep the feet together. Come up on the tippy toes of your feet. Good. Bend your knees. Drop into a nice low squatting chair if you can. If you can't, keep your heels on the floor and come into chair the normal way. But if you can, drop your hips all the way down towards your heels. So you're in like a deep squatting chair. So hips all the way down, but up on your tippy toes. And then arms to the sky. So knees together, Sarah, if you can. Prayer twist, hands to heart center. Take that right elbow to the outside of your left knee. How many different ways can you prayer twist? I left a couple out, so if you're like, this is all that there is, it's not. Good, come back to center, please. Twist the other way. Stay low, stay anchored. Heels or hips, anchor. Squeeze those knees if they're together. Good, hug them even if they're not together. Come back to center, release the hands to the floor. Good, slowly find your way down to sit. Nice job. I know, however you want to. Down to sit. Good, you guys. Take the legs straight out in front of you, please. Right leg stays extended. Left knee bends. Bring the bottom of the foot to the inside of your right leg. Let your knee go wide. And then arms to the sky, please. Spinal twist, right hand to outer left knee. So you're reaching right hand to left knee, left hand behind you. I know, these words like right and left cease to mean anything. Keep your right butt cheek down to the floor. Good. Really good, you guys. So Jen, try not to lean back on your hand. Lean slightly forward. Same thing, Lauren. Lean slightly forward. Good. And then come back to center, please. Good. Turn your torso towards the right now, moving your belly over that right thigh. And then forward fold from your twist. Start to lean forward. Walking your hands towards the ankle, Janu Shirshasana. The idea, though, is that by twisting first, is you get that twist in your lower waist. You get the twist through. And then the forward fold, again, becomes part of that. But if you forward fold first and then try and twist, it's not going to work so well. Good. One more deep breath. And then walk yourself all the way back up. Beautiful. And then switch the legs. Left leg comes forward. Bend your right knee. Bring the bottom of the foot to the inside of the left thigh. Knee goes wide. And then arms to the sky. So you're coming into the twist first. So left hand to right knee, to the bent knee. And then right hand behind you. Good. And keep that left sit bone rooting down to the floor. Good. So Joy, make sure that left thigh is not, your left butt cheek is not coming up. So you want to keep your shoulders right on top of your hips. You're leaning a little too much. Good, you guys. Keep both sit bones on the floor. Don't pretend that that's making your twist deeper. It's not. Remember, the anchoring in the pose matters. Good. And then come back to center, please. Nice. Start to twist yourself the other direction. So turning the rib cage towards that left thigh. Good. Arms can be up or down, your choice. And then as you find that twist, right, you've moved your ribs, you've moved your belly, then slide yourself forward into the forward fold, keeping both sit bones anchored to the floor. Good. Wherever you are holding, don't worry about letting go, but notice that the holding is there. And then breathe a little bit wider so that you feel that there's space. Like my computer suddenly asked if I was playing music. No, I am not. This is not music. Good, don't attach to it. Good. Slowly start to bring yourself all the way back up. Excellent, you guys. Good. Take the feet out in front of you. Slide forward. Find your way onto your backs. Because what else can you do when there's a siren going off? Shavasana, of course. Not yet, almost. Yeah, if you're in the room and you want to turn yourselves around, you're welcome to do that because you will be on your backs for the duration. Your choice. So with the knees bent, please draw the knees in towards your chest. Take the right thigh on top of the left, wrapping the inner thighs and outer shins. So eagle legs. So right thigh on top of left, press the shins together. Good. And just stretch your arms out wide, letter T. Good. So some activity through the feet. I don't care if they're pointed or flexed, but your whole leg should be active. Good. Try to have your shins parallel to the floor. Nice. So as you inhale, you're going to move your feet away from your belly just a little bit more. So it's like you're actually lengthening your spine. And then as you exhale, you're going to draw your knees in towards your chest and really press down through the low part of your sacrum. So don't try to curl the tail up. And then inhale again, take the feet slightly forward, finding the whole length of your spine. Exhaling, drawing the knees in, squeezing. And again, if it's enough to just hold the legs up, you can just hold the legs up. But if you can do that subtle movement forward and back, so you get into that folding. Again, the idea is to fold through your thigh creases as the knees come in. So again, we're just encouraging a little bit more openness on the back in those deeper muscles, not just the surface level external ones. Good. Nice, you guys. And next time your knees come in, keep them in, separate your feet, let your shins go wide now. So you're in Gomukhasana legs. You can reach to hold your feet or your ankles if you want, or let the arms stay where they are. So it's still right leg on top of left. It's just feet wide. Good. And still with the lower back finding its way, anchoring to the floor. Right. So in meditation, we often say that the breath, of course, is the anchor for the experience. If you're trying to fall into space, is well, how do you let go of everything that you are and everything that you think that you are, that you know? So you stay with the breath. The breath will take you there, and eventually you start to forget that the breath is not just part of that space. You forget that you are not just part of that space. And that's really a remembering, because it's the realization, right, that this is always what's been true. Is you are just part of that space. I am. Unwind your legs, please. Hug the knees in towards the chest. And then switch the cross, take the left thigh on top of the right, coming into eagle legs. So again, shins together. Try to find where your shins are parallel to the floor, so the knees are right on top of the hips, shins together. Good. Arms can go wide again, so you've got something to press down into. Keep your ribs anchored. And then again, if you can, that subtle movement, inhaling, moving the knees and the feet away from your belly, and then exhaling from your belly, drawing in and pressing down to the lowest part of your spine. Good. And it's a lot. So if this is a tight area on your legs, the outer hips and thighs, this is going to be a challenge. If your hip flexors are tight and or weak, which most of ours are, this might be a challenge. Good. If your back is tight, lower spine is tight, this might be a challenge. So don't worry if you feel like it's a challenge. Good. Try not to swing the legs. You're really working from that folding at the waist. So the momentum might start to pull your sit bones up off the floor, and that's not necessarily what we want. Good. And the next time the knees come in, stay there. And then just separate your feet. Gomukhasana legs. And again, if you want to reach for the ankles or the shins, go for it. Good, Sarah. If it's a lot on the outer hips, then unwind the legs, come into like an inverted child's pose. So just bring your knees up towards your armpits and squeeze, and then maybe come back in, or just stay there if that feels like it gives more release. Good. If the rest of you were like, how come I didn't get that instruction? You don't have Sarah's hips, that's why. You can always try it if you think that your hips are maybe more like Sarah's, who knows? Good, slowly unwind, please. Hug the knees in towards your chest. Good, bring your forehead up to meet your knees. Squeeze, hug, 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 hug. Good, and then release the shoulders, please. Plant your feet down to the floor. Take your arms alongside your ribs, either bent elbows for robot arms or straight arms. You're coming into bridge pose. So press down into the feet, press down into the arms, squeeze those back muscles. So those armpits pull again towards the back of your heart, and then rise up from there. Armpits pull up, chest pulls up, and the hips rise up to meet that. Good. Then as you exhale, let your hips drop a tiny bit, not all the way to the floor. And then as you inhale, lift again from your armpits, rise up. And then exhale, let everything soften just a little bit, not all the way to the floor. And then inhale, rise up again, not just from squeezing your butt, from hugging your back. Do it again, a couple more times, softening on the exhale, inhaling, rising up. Again, getting to that point where you feel that you are really opening, but you're not clenching. You're not pushing to your absolute edge and trying to hold that. Instead, you're staying in that spacious place where you can move and you can feel, and maybe it's challenging, maybe it's not, but you're never stuck. Good. And then the next breath in, again, pause at the top of the pose. And then exhale, consciously release one vertebra at a time. Pausing with the knees bent, let the spine settle. If the lower back needs it, you can always separate the feet slightly and let your knees drop inward, so towards each other. That's the release for the lower back. Good. And then a spinal twist of your choice. So you can draw both knees in and drop them to one side. You can draw one knee in and take it over across the body. You can wrap the legs again back into eagle and come into your twist. Spinal twist of your choice. Or none at all if you're like, done with twisting. Did 10,000 prayer twists, I'm done. Go ahead, find your way into your twist on the other side, whatever speaks to you. If you are doing a twist with two knees, both knees to the same side, my suggestion is keep the knees really stacked on top of each other. When you stack your knees, it means you're also stacking your pelvic bones. When you stack your pelvic bones, your lower back gets relief. Even if it feels like, oh, but I'm tight. I know. But putting yourself in that correct alignment means that the release will be a real one, constructive one. Good. And then find your way back to center, please. And begin to stretch the legs out in front of you, arms alongside you. Set yourself up for Shavasana. Using whatever props you need. Nice full wheel, whoever's there in Mia's box. I saw that. It was a nice wheel. Find yourself settling a little deeper into your breath. Really good. Really, really good. So of course, if one of us does a pose, it means we all did a pose. So good job doing full wheel, everybody. Experiencing the benefits of that. Lose yourself in your breath. Forget that you are anything but the breath. Gently bring the awareness back to your breath. The body begin to stretch and move in whatever ways serve it well. And as you're ready, draw the knees in towards your chest and roll to the right side. Give yourself a moment before you begin to push the floor away. Come back to an upright seated position. Coming to sit as though you are in meditation, so hands resting on the knees or the thighs. The instruction is always to come gently back to an awareness of yourself. So wherever your mind wandered to, and I say this more and more often, I feel like that if you spent your entire Shavasana thinking, don't worry. You bring your awareness gently back, because if you're always dragging it from one place to another, demanding that it goes here, get away from there, is that just reinforces that you're running. And our practice is to learn to stay. So the things that you think you are running from, or that you're trying to fix, or that you're trying to resolve, will change over and over and over again. The practice never does. It's always the same. And it's that you are seeking this state of awareness that is not the reaction of your mind, that's not a holding of this moment or that moment. The practice is always just to stay where we are, as we are, and allow the spaciousness of that self to continue to reveal itself. And when the mind gravitates to that, the body gravitates to that, there's no more work to do. We're not running. So you practice for that. Find space in the body, find space in the mind. Don't keep telling yourself to let go. Start with don't panic. Go to the next breath and let it get a little bigger. And as we get a little bigger with that feeling inside, is all of those things that feel like they are so much bigger than us start to diminish. One more deep breath. Relax. And then if you'd like, bring the hands together at the heart center or leave them where they are. We'll close with the sound of Om, which is really a bowing to that infinite self that is you. You're not screaming it out into the void as you're yelling it out into your own infiniteness, resonating with that. Deep breath in. Sliding the thumbs up to the space between the eyebrows. Namaste. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week until I see you again. Reminder, don't forget that Sunday night, 6 o'clock is potluck yoga. All of our TTs that recently graduated, they teach on Sunday night. So tonight is Mark. He's doing a yin yoga class at 6 p.m. So if you're interested in that, come on, it's by donation. So don't worry about your class cards for that. And then don't forget, we have all sorts of other fun things. The butterfly talks on Tuesday.